Welcome to our Wednesday meditation service. This is a call and response, and I will sing a line and then you just repeat it afterwards. I am in your presence. Cleanse and purify my mind. I am one with all. I am one with all. Kindness and love flows through me. I see only love. Where there is love, there's peace. Love restores peace on earth. I can feel your presence. guiding me in all I do. There is none but you. Kindness and peace flows through me. I feel only peace. Where there is peace, there's joy. Love restores peace on earth. Love restores peace on earth.
Good evening, everyone. There are separate paragraphs in A Course in Miracles that could be used to define the entire philosophical perspective of the Course. So I'm going to start this evening by sharing a paragraph like that. You can read this in the old text on page 162 or in the new edition on 174. If your brothers and sisters are part of you, will you accept them? Only they can teach you what you are, for your learning is the result of what you taught them. What you call upon in them, you call upon in yourself. And as you call upon it in them, it becomes real to you. God has but one Son. knowing them all as one. Only God himself is more than they, but they are not less than he is. Would you know what this means? If what you do to my brother or sister you do to me, if you do everything for yourself, because we are part of you, everything we do belongs to you as well. Here again is just one of the many paragraphs that define a completely different paradigm, a completely different definition of life. Each of us is born into a life that is defined mostly by an illusionary concept shared by most of humanity. The illusionary concept of being a separate self in a world of separate others. So you see that this is a completely different paradigm, a completely different definition. And when we begin to understand what is being related here, it is attempting to lead us into a higher level of consciousness, a level in which there is peace, truth, joy, love, that are not contingent upon the conditions and circumstances of the world. If you haven't really experienced that yet, just try to imagine what it would be like to have that peace, joy, have that buoyant feeling of love beyond all conditions and circumstances. And that is what is the promise of the kingdom of God. So I'll share this with you again. It's only relating again to a definition of oneness instead of separation. We were born into the world and learned the definition of separation. And now we are at that place where we might be ready to look into a definition that is more true and more rewarding. If your brothers and sisters are part of you, will you accept them? Only they can teach you what you are, for your learning is the result of what you taught them. That line is something one has to consider. Let's listen to it and see if we can understand it. Only they, that is, only your brothers and sisters, can teach you what you are, for your learning is the result of what you taught them. You see how now we must move away from the idea of separation, being a separate body-mind, a separate objective observer. This is saying that we are not. Because what they are appearing to us as is what we have believed them to be. Whatever your brothers and sisters are appearing to you as is the result of what you believe them to be. So is what you taught them, and not what they are teaching you, but what you hold in your mind is what is creating the world of people, conditions, and events that you experience. In Unity, it's related thoughts held in mind, produce after their kind in manifestation. So this is the shift that we have to begin to understand and begin to practice and recognize how valuable it is to define life from this awareness. What you call upon in them, you call upon in yourself. That's it. Your mind has its collection of beliefs. And through that collection of beliefs, you see your world. You may think that you are living in the same world as everyone else, but I assure you, you are living in the world of your own consciousness. And as you call it upon in them, it becomes real to you. What you're calling upon, what you're believing that you see, what you are believing is what you see. And the more you see it, the more it corroborates what you believe. But if you change what you believe, you will change what you perceive. But you may not change for a long time because your ego is so self-assured that it sees things correctly and has the ability to judge and decide, when in fact it is just creating its isolation from reality. God has but one Son. Interesting line, but it's not saying that God has but one Son whose name is Jesus, who lived 2,000 years ago. Saying that we are all part of the one Son consciousness. We are all part of the one Son consciousness. Would you know what this means? If what you do to a brother or sister you do to me, and if you do everything for yourself, because we are part of you, everything we do belongs to you as well. This is just another reiteration that this illusion of separation is just that, an illusion. So it is simply your perception that perceives this separation. And if you want to find life truly worth living, you have to take to task that limited definition of life. You can go on in it as long as you wish, being tossed to and fro, because you see, in that definition of life, one is simply a reactor. Things are happening outside, and you expect that those things are causing you to think and feel the way you do. When things are going according to your personal expectations and your personal desires, then you feel like, oh, things are good, life's good. But when things and people are not going in relationship to your expectations or your desires, you're cast down. You feel a separation. You feel a negativity. You feel a blame coming up. You feel negative emotions because you simply don't want it to be that way. But it is the way of your beliefs at that point. So I'll give you an example that may be helpful. Two college-age girls attend the same party. They listen to the same live band. They partake of the same food and beverages and delight. They have everything there that one could really enjoy. The one girl is really enjoying the party. But it is possible that the other girl is not enjoying the party at all. Why? If they're both having the same experience, just about, and one is enjoying it immensely, and the other is not, but the other may actually be in the dumps and feeling bad, what is the difference between them? The only difference between them can be their thinking. The girl that is experiencing a limitation and she's in the dumps, she might be thinking while she's at this party that she shouldn't have come to the party because she has a very difficult exam to take tomorrow and she should be back in her room studying for it. So if those thoughts are going through her mind, she may feel really down. Or perhaps she saw a gentleman she liked at the party who's courting another girl. And so that brings her thinking down. Maybe she just had a bad hair day. And she's thinking about how her hair doesn't look great at all, and she's in the dumps about it. What is the difference between these two girls? What each is thinking has nothing to do with what's taking place outside of them. It only has to do with what each is thinking. And it is the same, if you're not enlightened yet, you think the same way. You have the same negative emotions and feelings. But it's your thoughts that you had not actually monitored. You're not mindful. You simply are being tossed to and fro by every changing tide of circumstance. As the circumstances go according to your expectations, you feel good. You might even feel elated for a while. But then when they shift and they're not fitting in with your desires and your expectations, then you're not feeling good at all. Something's wrong. Something has to change. They have to change. Those people should have known better. They should have done better. The people in the Israeli territory should know better. They should do better. And so it goes on and on and on about your thinking. Trust me, if you don't yet understand what is being shared here, if you're not in the practice of this truth, not deciding to become more mindful of your consciousness, then that's your choice. Nothing and no one has an advantage over anyone else except in the way they are deciding to allow themselves to think. I can give you another example. I can give you 50 examples. When my son Shad was a toddler, my children all were very young then, we lived on Nickel Street, about 4 or 5 blocks from here, and we had converted the garage into a playroom, and it had these low shelves that I built in for all the toys that we put on those shelves. And during the day, or sometimes in the early evening, the kids would play in that playroom. It was very safe. They had all these toys to hang out with. Well, you can see different things happen when you watch children. And one day, I happened to be observing them, and one little boy had taken a yellow truck off the shelf and was playing with it. And my son Shad went over and tried to take the truck from him. And he held on to the truck. And Shad was saying, mine, mine. And he started crying, mine, mine. He's crying, crying, crying. I had to step in and try to bring some peace to the situation. But what was taking place there? The shelves are filled with those toys. Those toys have no life but the life the children imagine they have. Otherwise, they sit there and gather dust. When someone picks one of the toys up and starts to imagine some kind of a game in his mind that he's playing with that toy, that's the only life that toy has. Unfortunately, in that situation, Shad thought that was an important thing, that that toy was important, and that he should have it to actually imagine things about it himself and play with it. So he said, mine, mine. And this is the same thing that human beings are doing every day. They are giving life to trivial things. And when things don't play out in accordance with their particular expectation of the way they should play out, they have negative emotions. They weep and cry and carry on, in many cases just become angry. Sometimes people that are really lost become vindictive. But you see it all taking place in the person's mind. We are giving value to different things all around us all the time. And just how valuable those things are is determined by how much we are investing in it in our imagination. But all of those things around us, the cars, the computers, the opportunities even, it's all a matter of our being invested in them and giving them power to make us feel good or bad. But that's because people are not mindful enough to know that they can choose how they want to feel. Do you believe that? You just have to go inside yourself and say, do I believe what he's saying? That I can choose how I want to feel? Because that's all there is to it. And if you don't believe that, then you still want to be a party of the insane world. The world without divine awareness. The world without mindful consciousness is insane. It is called insane by the masters down through the ages. All you have to do is look at the news on any given evening, and you have to decide that the human race is certifiably insane. And that the journey that we're advocating, the spiritual journey, is the journey out of insanity. There's a world full of people out there with projections all over the place, giving life to all these trivial things. And they go to war over these things, and they make themselves happy or unhappy accordingly. Day in and day out, keep thinking that somehow or other they will gain control over the world, that they can make people do what they want them to do to fit their expectations all the time. That can never happen. The only way to transcend the insanity of the world is to transcend your participation in it. And you can begin by no longer participating in a war or wars over which you have no influence, no control whatsoever. Today, there are so many people angsting about the wars in the world, Ukraine or the Israelis, or even in Guatemala or wherever else some crazy bunch of people decide to take up arms against each other. The madness just prevails and prevails. And then people, it's amazing, people that are not involved in it at all, that have no way to influence it at all, go through all kinds of negative emotions and negative conversation to create more negative emotions in other people so that they can commiserate. They can play at being insane. And in that commiseration, they are simply stroking their own egos. Look at how compassionate I am, that I feel about what's taking place. Well, it is true. You may feel, badly that so many of the people in the insane asylum are being hurt unreasonably for no reason. You may feel that. But to continue to commiserate over something you can't do anything about is simply a confession of the fact that you're not mindful enough to choose peace. What if you knew that the most important thing you could do for all the wars taking place in crazy land, the most important thing you could do would be to have peace yourself, to be able to sustain a level of peace in all your activities so that you become an emissary of true peace. And the only way to do that is to become mindful. That means you don't enter the day as a novice, world-thinking lunatic. You enter the day with an affirmative ideal. That is the priority. Today, I will choose peace. I will be an emissary of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, let me sow pardon. So you become one who has made the priority escaping the insanity you were born into, raised in, educated in. So that means you learn to carry this affirmative ideal that first and foremost it's important to maintain a consciousness of peace. So you're not going to indulge yourself in limited, fear-driven conversation. You're not going to pass that on. You're simply going to look upon everyone with an ideal toward their divinity. And if you possibly can, and someone asks you to, you can be of service in sharing the truth. That, listen to it. Suppose you never took anything out of here tonight except this. Peace is a conscious choice. Always. If you don't have peace, or you don't feel peace, it's because you're not choosing to have peace. You're not choosing to practice spiritual awakening. You're deciding, no, for this particular situation, I think I'm just going to become, more and more involved in the depression, more involved in the anxiety. So you're deciding to do that. But you can't do that over and over again and then expect at some point to be enlightened. You have to decide that peace is your goal and that it is a choice. And that choice means that you're going to be mindful. So that, here's what mindfulness does. You're not going to be able to just clear your entire consciousness instantaneously of all the negative thoughts and emotions that you have embraced, but you are going to do it piecemeal. So as a negative emotion or a thought starts to arise within you about yourself or others, you're going to pause. You're going to pause. You're not going to just go with it. You're going to pause. And then you're going to say to yourself, I could choose peace instead of this. And you can follow your mind. You look into your mind. What is going on? What am I thinking that's beginning to make me feel anxious? What am I thinking that's beginning to make me feel afraid, angry, unhappy, unworthy, judgmental, condemning? What am I thinking that is making that be so? When what I could do, I could choose peace. I could look past all of that and say, no. You can use this particular idea that I use for healing. You consider, you pause, you find those negative thoughts, that place where you're beginning to react, negativity, and you say, not wanted, not needed, not necessary. I choose peace instead. Not wanted, not needed. Why do I do this? Not necessary. I don't need this. I choose peace instead. To heck with it. If that's happening, let it happen. If the world is crazy, let it be crazy. I don't have to be crazy with it. I decide to be quiet, choose peace, go about my business. Peace is a conscious choice. So we're going to take some time this evening to meditate. Meditation is a good practice because it is beginning to take charge of the mind. Eckhart Tolle said the mind is a wonderful tool. The only problem is that the mind has taken over so that it's doing its thing and we don't have any relationship to how to stop it. And the only way to stop it is to become mindful. In other words, to know that I'm working on being mindful. I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing truth. I'm choosing to look past the foibles of all creation and project love, compassion, and to let it be. There's the words from the song. Let it be. Let the maniacs do what they're doing. You can send a prayer, but after that you bestow peace. You envision peace, and more than anything else, you allow peace to be your priority. So, just take a couple of deep breaths. Sit back, rest, keep your back comfortably straight. Just bring yourself into the knowing that this society is moving away from the idea of being created. And with that, there is a tendency to reject that life has a plan. If life didn't have some plan, then all those teachers, some of them who have become very renowned, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, all those teachers that have become renowned, would be absurd to be teaching us to be mindful. If there was no plan, why would anybody want to be mindful? There is a plan. Mindfulness opens the door in the mind to the reality of God, where heaven actually is. Imagine. You don't have to drop this body to wind up in heaven, where there is peace and beauty and love and joy and fearless living. So as we sit back and consider this, let us just bring the mind gently to this mantra. Having no imagined separate self, with no imagined desperate needs, only love is given. Only love received. Having no imagined separate self, with no imagined desperate needs, only love is given. Only love received. Having no imagined separate self, with no imagined needs, only peace is given. Only peace received. in this shared, refined level of awareness. We will offer the names of those that have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls each name, just let the thought, be love, go to that name. Be love.
Loretta, Dara and Fritz, Jamie and Wayne, Marie and Heather, Alex McKeon and family, Dustin Huff and Yerny Ye and children, Ariana Rose Stout, Crystal Noel Leggett, Bapik Stout, Trevor Davis, Simon and Mary, Michael Mathis, Sienna Mathis, Dexter Riddy, Aaron Nazar, Sam, Timmy, Joel Goodman, Sandy Spahn, Pat Johnson, Cynthia Atkin, Carol Selby, Phyllis Naranjo, Priscilla Copland, Joan, Steve Taylor, Mike Shadle and Miley, Santisha and Gilly, Alice Howe, Ronnie Howe, Amy Howe and Zeke, Wilma Gomez, Chris and Anna Howe, Ian and Noah, Carl Paccio, Megan and Christina, David Naranjo, Leila and Phyllis Naranjo, Davis, Jean, Meredith, Judith, Harry, Ben and Christine, Aaron M., Michelle and John, Rachel Ray, Kat Hobson, Marin and Will, Ann and Stan, Maddie Farber, Rory McClish, Zach Whitehorn, Sue H., Unity of Boulder, Peter, Uncle Billy, Rob, Teresa S., Amy, Jenny, Nim and Wendy, Dragonfly, Mark, Ella King, Laura Lee King, Malcolm King, Crystal Krug, David Yoder, Margaret DeVita, Sue Thorne, Katie and Lars Grimsrod and family, Dennis Chenoweth, Marcia Mitchell and Brett Renville, Jim and Debbie Renville, Craig and Loie Simpson, Joy and Chris Larson and Matzi, Delaney and family. And you can call out a name at this time if you would like to do so. Sandy Beatree. We see this healing light surrounding the prayer box. And all the people whose names that have been submitted throughout the month, we see them healed physically, mentally, and spiritually.
For a moment now. Let us join the vision of the new heaven in earth, recognizing everyone opening to the presence of the divine truth, that we are one. And this divine truth prevailing in everyone, sharing this Boulder community with us. And this divine truth opening in everyone, sharing the state of Colorado with us. And this divine truth expanding in the minds of everyone, sharing these United States of America with us. And this divine truth moving in the oneness that it declares through every culture, every nation in the world, and it establishing the harmony and peace that we are seeking as we pray. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. Those of you that are watching this on live stream can scroll down on our website to that flag that says donate. And you can make a gift to Unity of Boulder. And we here can bring that gift into our hands, and we can bless it with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth, the Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of truth. Amen. We have 2 Christmas Eve services, one at 12 noon. It's going to be the only service on Sunday. Will be the Christmas Eve production at 12 o'clock. And then at 5, is it 5 or 5:30? 5? 5:30 on that Sunday, we will have the Christmas Eve production again. And the tickets are available in the lobby.
Yes, they're free, but you just
Right.
pick them up. And we're having the solstice at 8:30 in Fellowship Hall. This is the winter solstice, and you're welcome to come to that. There'll be chanting and movement and expressing.
We don't have any tea or cookies. If you want to, there's no. In the lobby, there's tea and cookies for those of you that want to stay. Okay, yeah, you can have tea and cookies and then hang out and go to the.
I gotta have my cookies.
Social. Okay. All right. So, if you want to stay and chat in the lobby, there is tea and there is cookie. Okay.
All righty.
All right. To everyone, good night.